All right, ladies, in this video, we're going to look at how to interpret a scatter plot. So in the previous video on 7B, we looked at constructing a scatter plot on the calculator, but you also need to know some features about your scatter plot. So remember, a scatter plot tells you the relationship between two numerical variables. So they're called our explanatory and our response variable. But we when we're doing a scatter plot, we just don't draw it and that's it. We've got to explain what's happening. So usually we look at whether it's linear or non-linear. So if we look at the first example, so you can see here it's linear. This one here is non-linear. It's kind of curved. And we'll look at that more when we do linear regression. And this one is also linear, but it's decreasing. It's a negative it's in the negative direction. So the three things we focus on is the direction, so whether it's positive or negative, the form, whether it's linear or non-linear, so the two at the end are linear, so this is linear and this is linear. Think of linear as in line, it's forming a straight line. Obviously it's not clearly a perfect line, but it's not curved like this middle one. And strength means, well, is it perfectly strong? So that perfectly strong, is it strong means that would be like a very nice straight line, and then you would have moderate, which is probably what we have here. This looks moderate to strong, and then you also have weak. So even though it's a straight line, it's not very strong. It's not quite linear. It'll probably make more sense when we look at some examples. Okay, so let's look at direction first. Okay, so positive association, okay, it just means it's go up, it goes up. So we always go across in our x direction, so going across the x-axis. So if you think about, when you're walking along in the x direction, are we going up? If we're going up, we're going in the positive direction. Now, the next one, if we're going across, but we're going down, we're going in the negative direction. Okay, so we call that a negative association. So we're looking at direction, positive, negative. So these notes are very helpful to have. If there's no pattern, so in this last one, we say there's no association because you can't see whether it's positive or it's negative. All right, so just this box here. It's positive, both your response and your explanatory variables are increasing. A negative association means your explanatory variable increases, but your response variable decreases. And no association means that you don't know what's happening with the response variable. So even though the explanatory variable increases, the response, we don't know whether it's increasing or decreasing. All right, looking at form. So we're basically, and I might just underline this here, we're looking for whether it's linear or if it's curved, or we call that non-linear. Okay, so try to use that phrase non-linear. You can see here, this first one, it's not a perfect straight line, but it's quite linear. Okay, it does form quite a straight line. And if you thought about walking along that, you could easily walk along, or if you're driving your car, you could drive in a straight line. This second one, you're curving. Okay, you're curving. If you're driving, you would need to move your steering wheel to go around the bend. Okay, so that means it's non-linear. Okay, so non-linear versus linear. So when we're talking about form, not form of an association, we only refer to two things. Is it linear or non-linear? When we're looking at association, sorry, just get back here, we're looking at positive, negative, or no association. Okay, so when you're describing your scatter plot, these are the words we use. And that box there just summarizes it. Now your strength. So we can have strong. Okay, so you can see this is strong. This one, even though we said it's curved, don't know how I just drew on that, but It doesn't say that it's linear, it just says it's strong positive association. This is a strong positive association. This is a strong negative association. So it doesn't, the terms positive and negative refer to the direction, and strong refers to the strength of it. So if we look at, and I assume we're going to have moderate association, so you can see there that it's scattered a bit more. Okay, so the scatter plot, the dots aren't as close together, but they still kind of go in a positive direction. And this one goes in a negative direction. And a weak association, you know, it might look like it's pretty positive, but it's very weak. Like if we were to just look at the relationship of those two, it would be quite scattered. Okay, it's not very strong. And we use the correlation coefficient, which is in the next section, to understand the strength of the association. So you can look at a scatter plot and kind of guess whether it's strong, moderate, or weak, but you would calculate the R value, the correlation coefficient, to actually decide. And no association means you don't have, you can't tell whether it's negative or positive. All right, so Pearson's correlation coefficient, we'll do it in the next video, but I'll just quickly tell you. You can see here what I was talking about. So your R value, which you can easily calculate on your calculator, will tell you the strength. So you're going from -1, so I'll start at -1. So R will always be between -1 and 1. So it's either strong negative, in this case, strong positive at 1. And if it's close to 0, either negative or a positive number, you're getting closer to no association, but that'll be in the next video. All right, let's have a look at some textbook questions. All right, just having a look at question 2. So we're describing these scatter plots in terms of strength, form, and direction. So it's use the word medium here. You should really use the word moderate. So I don't know why the textbook has used the word medium, but it should be strong, moderate, or weak. So when we're looking at strength, you're using one of those 3 words. Form, you're using one of those 2 words, either linear or non-linear. And direction, we've got positive or negative. Now, if there was no association, it would just be no association altogether. But you rarely see no association because unless you're given raw data to work with, which is very rare, because in your exam, in your assessments, you would be given data that'll actually probably have an association, but you just write no association. Okay, so this first one here, now, as I said before, it's sometimes a bit hard to see what the strength is, but this looks pretty strong to me. Okay, it's maybe slightly moderate. I would say B was more moderate than this one. So I would say A was strong, but again, you would calculate your R value to be accurate. Okay, it is linear. It looks linear to me, and it's positive. Okay, it's going in the positive direction. B, I'd probably lean towards strong for that one. It's linear. Okay, it goes in a straight line. Remember, if you're driving your car, can you drive that car in a straight line? And it's negative. Okay, so as we go, as our x-axis increases, the y-axis is decreasing. All right, C is clearly moderate. It's linear and it's positive. Now D it looks quite strong, but it's clearly non-linear. Okay, so remember, if we were driving our car, we would have to curve around that bend. So it's non-linear and it's positive. Okay, so E, clearly moderate. It might even be weak because of all these numbers down here. It's linear and it's negative. And F, or I would say F, was probably moderate. It does look non-linear because it does curve around here. And what was the last thing? Oh, it's positive. Okay, clearly positive. All right, so in 7D, I think I just covered this before, we will be looking at R, which helps us decide on those values a bit more. Okay, bye girls.